Hey, today I'm going to talk about Queen of the Tearling by Erica Johansson, and I actually have a physical copy of this book. Technically. I borrowed it from a friend. This isn't even the book that I borrowed. This book just happened to be where I'm recording, so I'm just like, oh look, a prop. Ah! Ooh, that was a weird noise. This book took me for a ride. I don't know where I was going with that sentence, but yeah, like it took me from one place to another, which, I mean, that's a stupid way of describing this. I'm just gonna get into the actual meat of this review. Originally, I gave this 3 out of 5 stars because I didn't particularly enjoy it, but then as I was writing the script for this video, because believe it or not, these are actually kind of scripted out. I know it just seems like I just bleh at the camera, but like I have a little script. But I gave this book 3 out of 5 stars, and then while I was scripting out this review, I was thinking back on it like, nah, it deserves like a solid 4, maybe 5. Like, I really appreciate this book more after reading it, having thought about it a little bit more than in the actual reading of it itself. So the story follows Kelsey, who is whisked away from her castle at a young age and hidden away until she's 19, protected from the people who want to kill her, and there's a lot of people that want to kill her, but protected from the people that want to kill her so that she can ascend to the throne and become the new Queen of the Tearling. Traveling back from where she was hidden to ascend to the throne and dodging death at like literally every turn. Holy crap, do people want this girl dead? It's insane how many assassination attempts are in this book. I honestly had a hard time getting into this book in the beginning, but by the end of it, I loved it. Kelsey, she was just kind of hard for me to read and stuff. She was just kind of hard to read in the beginning because she's kind of naive and almost spoiled in a way, and it was tough to read from her point of view because she just was kind of, I don't even know the best way to describe this, and I have this all scripted out. She's just kind of irritating in the beginning. She grows on you after a while, but like in the beginning I find it to be really tough. She goes on and on a lot about how plain she looks and how chubby she is and everything like that. She just talks down about her appearance constantly, and then like a paragraph or two later she'll go on and on about how beautiful her mother was and all this other stuff and talk about how vain her mother was, but it was just kind of weird because she spent so long dwelling on her own looks, and then she would talk down about her dead mother, about how she was always trying to look beautiful and stuff like that, and it was just sort of this weird sort of disconnect between the two. It's just like, yeah, she may be vain, but you're also just kind of obsessed with your own looks, and it was that sort of hypocrisy that was just kind of grating on my nerves in the beginning. I did, however, come to be able to reconcile it when I thought about it from a different point of view, when I was trying to like get into her mindset as to why she was doing this, and I was thinking about it, and I was like, yeah, okay, she suddenly goes from being this little girl who's, well, not little, she's 19, but she goes from being this like 19-year-old woman who is just all of a sudden taken from this little village and thrust into her queendom. In a way, that's kind of exactly how a 19-year-old would probably react if they're suddenly thrust into the limelight. Like, basically, if you look at queendom as an example of like celebrity, like imagine, you've seen what happens to celebrities when they hit 19, when they've been like child stars, like they go crazy. It's kind of the same deal. Like if she's suddenly like thrust into the limelight and everyone's looking at her, she's gonna be like super self-conscious about her looks. And like when I thought about it that way, I was able to reconcile her whole hypocrisy, because that's just how things would be. Like that's how I would have reacted at 19 if I was, well, I mean, I probably wouldn't be made queen, but like, if I was suddenly thrust into like royalty, it'd be like, oh crap, my beard looks atrocious, I have weird chubby cheeks, and I don't know, I can't think of anything else negative about my body, but that's great. There is the coronation chapter, and I think that's where things really turned around for me with Kelsey, because like after that whole thing happened at the coronation, whoo, I knew she could get shit done. Because that was a great chapter, oh my god. So while I was hating on Kelsey in the beginning of the book, I really started to get attached to all the different side characters and stuff like that. This story is really character driven, so if you don't like the characters, like I didn't like Kelsey, you didn't like the book. But she grew on me, and like while I was hating on her, a lot of the side characters were also like really starting to grow on me, and like I really appreciated some of them, especially Mace. I really liked the character of Mace. His like crotchety attitude was a bit much at times, but like there's still a sense that he really cares for Kelsey and wants to protect her, even if he goes a little over the top sometimes. I can't remember his age off the top of my head, but I'm really hoping that he turns out to be like Kelsey's secret father. That would be fun. Because, yeah, her father's never talked about in the... He's hinted at, and it's hinted that he's a secret, and I hope Mace is the secret. I can't help but love when authors write characters who are fans of books, and like... Kelsey has this weird obsession with books, and... in this weird future, it's kind of like post-apocalyptic in a way. I'm gonna get to that in a second. I can't help it when authors create characters who are obsessed with books. And I know that I'm just being pandered to when they do it, but I'm just kind of like, yeah, that's me, that's so hashtag me, please. I don't know, it just helps me identify more strongly with characters because I have an obsession with books, as you might be able to tell, because I have a channel dedicated to them. And you might too, because you're watching it. I just appreciate being thrown this little bone, like, here's a character who loves books just like you, and I'm just like, oh, me. So the world in this book, as I just suddenly switch gears into being a little more serious, is a really interesting sort of future dystopian, almost sort of fantasy world. Yeah, that's a hot mess. It takes place in the future. It is like confirmed. I don't know if it's, oh, maybe not actually be confirmed, but it's like, it takes place in the future, but it's also taking place in like medieval times-ish. You know, your standard European fantasy thing. But it takes place after an event called The Crossing, where a bunch of ships from a bunch of different countries cross some strange new discovered ocean. I don't know how that happens. But they cross some new ocean into some new land, and while they were crossing over, one of their ships sunk and they lost a lot of their own technology. So it adds to some like really interesting anachronistic devices being around. Like the Red Queen, she's got a wristwatch, and they talk about computers and stuff, yet they light their houses with torches and use swords. And it's just kind of like weirdly off-putting, and I love it. I also love the fact that I got to use the word anachronistic in a review, because that is one of my favorite words. Oh man, and it was so nice to read a book without romance just kind of like shoehorned right into it. Because there's really no point. Oh, there's not no point, but there's no time in this book for Kelsey to fall in love and be happily ever after. Because, like, she's trying to not die constantly. Constantly she's being attacked with assassinations. That's not the right word. She's constantly being attacked by assassins. And, like, there's no time for romance. There's some weird thing that happens with a shirtless scene with Penn, where, like, Penn wakes her up and she's just like, ooh, look at that body, basically, but that really just goes nowhere. And she's got some weird crush on the Fetch, but that also just kind of goes nowhere, and I don't know if they're going to go somewhere in the second and third book. But for this book itself, there was no time for romance, and I appreciate they didn't throw one in there, because it would have just felt like weirdly tacked on and stupid and gross. And I just appreciate that there was none. It was just her being badass, really. So yeah, I gave this book a 3 out of 5 stars when I first reviewed it on Goodreads, but I think I'm gonna bump up that score to probably a 4, maybe even a 5 by the time this video comes out. I'm not sure, but it's much better in sitting and thinking about it than it was actually when I was reading it. So that's my review, and I'm really looking forward to reading books 2 and 3 eventually. I got a lot on my plate with books. If this is your first video of mine you've ever seen, subscribe to the channel, because it's just this. This one was really ranty, but I mean, they're not always this long-winded. They might be, who knows? This could be a new thing where I just literally scream at a camera for, I don't know how long this video is, but it's probably long. Lost my train of thought. Yeah, if this is the first time seeing this video, subscribe to this channel, like it if you liked it, share it with your friends, and leave comments down below if you also had issues with Kelsey but just kind of grew to like her, or if you just liked her right from the beginning. Like, I don't know. I don't know you. Just leave a comment down below and we'll chat about it a little bit. I said subscribe, I said like, comment down below. That's everything. I've ticked all the boxes, and I'm gonna go get a glass of water because I've been talking non-stop and I'm not used to it and my throat is dry and I'm just kinda done, so bye!